Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel at NDN Nigeria. Click on the subscribe button and be the first to get notifications.
Some Niger Deltans have called on the federal government to facilitate the process of compelling all companies operating in the Niger Delta to immediately offset their indebtedness to the Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC) in line with ongoing efforts to revamp the intervention agency. The call is coming on the heels of a recent revelation by the Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Govt, that oil companies were indebted to the NDDC to the tune of over $4 billion. Correspondent Chika Bodozie completes the story.
Part 5 of the NDDC Establishment Act provides for adequate funding of the intervention agency to enable it deliver effectively on its mandate to aid development in the Niger Delta region. Under the NDDC Establishment Act, 15% of monthly allocations due member states of the Niger Delta is to be deducted from source to fund the NDDC, while 50% of the ecological funds payable to states in the region is domiciled in the account of the NDDC. The NDDC Establishment Act also makes it mandatory for local and international oil companies operating in the Niger Delta to pay 3% of their annual revenues into the coffers of the NDDC for the execution of projects to facilitate rapid development of the Niger Delta. While briefing State House correspondents on the way forward for the Niger Delta recently in Abuja, AKUGHA observed that for several years, oil companies had defaulted in their counterpart funding of the NDDC. The Honorable Minister put the cumulative debts of the oil companies at over $4 billion, while also acknowledging that the federal government was equally indebted to the commission.
NDDC itself is being owed over $4 billion by the international oil companies. The federal government is owing a little bit also of its own part that it should do to the NDDC. I believe that with this forensic audit, we will begin to offset some of those things, working closely with the Ministry of Finance in tranches.
In his reaction, a former president of the South-South Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Dr. Billy Gillis-Harry, described the huge indebtedness to NDDC as worrisome and counterproductive to the economic development of the Niger Delta region.
Why would the IOC owe NDDC if there is a statutory process of how to, bring these funds into the IOC, into the NDDC funds coffers? There shouldn't be any room for debts. So what I think should be done is the IOC is simply for the benefit of even them doing business in an environment that is development oriented, safe, secure, peaceful, they should contribute to the NDDC. And let the NDDC be given that mandate to make sure that there's an all-round development program and plan that's implementable in the region.
For his part, a youth activist in the region, Bright Abali, also threw his weight behind calls for immediate payment of funds owed NDDC, but insisted that a fit-for-purpose management structure be put in place to effectively utilize such funds following conclusion of the NDDC forensic audit exercise.
A region that contributes a good percentage of what is sustaining the nation. We don't need to argue about it. The presidency should see it as a matter of importance to set up a true means of funding the NDDC and setting up a management that can utilize this fund to the betterment of the Niger Delta people and Nigeria as a whole.
Former national president of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, Senibo Bobo Brown, however, called for a better strategic plan to uplift Niger Deltans from poverty and deprivation. He said going forward, the NDDC should endeavor to create production hubs for employment generation in the Niger Delta.
What has happened is that NDDC lost its focus. The first thing it would have done would have been to organize the Niger Delta states and say our business is to build production hubs in the Niger Delta. The kind of thing South Korea did, the kind of thing China has done within 20 years to reduce poverty level.
Last month, a forensic audit of NDDC activities over a period of 18 years was concluded. Most Niger Deltans expect that its findings and recommendations will put a stop to reported cases of malfeasance in the system and address the challenge of inadequate funding of the Nddc, which has prevented it from meeting the yearnings and aspirations of largely backward oil-producing communities in the Niger Delta.
Inside the Niger Delta,